internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
You're listening to Goof On Radio with Rich Giordano.
My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
There has been and is an existing presence, an ET presence. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to change reality.
I believe, as do the other folks that were on the flight, that when we visually saw it, that it was something not from this world.
Goof On Radio.
You were either in or you were either out, brother.
But the cream rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
Goof On Radio with Rich Giordano.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Goof On Radio.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
You're listening to Goof On Radio with Rich Giordano.
All right. Welcome to Goof On Radio Stream. I'm your host, Rich Giordano. It is an impromptu Tuesday show, I should say. Yes, I was going to take off, but I think I made a little promise. I was going to do the rest of May every night, Monday through Friday. Was I not? And I don't know why I thought the month was ending last week. Look, we've all been home. All right. There's not much of anything in the way of a form of, how do I put it? A schedule. Like, I don't get up, go to work. All I do is get up and look for work. I'm trying to get a job, but when you don't do anything for a couple of months, you kind of lose track of the time and the day. And I've realized this. I'm glad we had the shutdown, because when I get older and retire, I have got to be doing something. You've got to be doing something, I think, to keep your mind sharp. You know, we go around, drive around here and there, you know, and try to do all sorts of fun stuff. And, you know, you run out of places to go, especially with the lockdown. It's hard to go to any place like a hotel because you call and you're like, I want to get a haunted room. And they're like, well, we're not doing that right now. We're closed until further notice. So couldn't do that. Couldn't go to certain locations. People didn't want you to come over because they were afraid. So hopefully things will loosen up here in the next couple of months. Now, to drown out the boredom, I went out seeking for a drone today. And I've been researching drones on the internet on and off for the last couple of months. And I've come to the realization that I am going to just not get the most expensive one they have because I need a computer first. Now, before we got into the lockdown, we just started donations, super chat, the Patreon, all that stuff got created with the intent of going out, doing things in public. And, you know, now we couldn't do that. You know, I couldn't go out and sit in front of a store like we had planned. And now I'm not even friends with those people anymore. So, you know, got to look for other places to do the show out in the open. So things got put on hold a little bit. So I wanted to get a drone. And the reason I wanted to get a drone was to fly over the desert, fly out to places and see if there's things that we can't get to, maybe a haunted house. We can fly into the house first and, you know, come back out, see what's in there. You know, there's a lot of different things I could do with the drone that would be very fun for the show. UFO hunting isn't really for a drone, but it would be nice to have one in case there's a beautiful sunset. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know what a drone would do other than get me to places that would be exciting that you can't get on foot. So computers got to come first. The drone I was going to buy was $130 and it only had 10 minutes flight time. I need a drone that's 20 minutes flight time minimum. I found them. They're $250. I could buy it, but really not working and it's still no unemployment. So, you know, we have to watch our money and this sucks for me. So do I buy a drone? I could buy the $130 drone for half price, get 10 minutes of flight time, take some pictures and do some fun stuff. Yeah, it's $70 half price, maybe a good starter drone. But is it really going to give me what I want to hold us over till we get the new computer? New computer changes everything. You know, new computer means that back wall becomes an entertainment system, the green screen. The game show could actually become a thing for reality that I have planned and have done in the past. And people cheat because they go on Google and they type in the answers and that. No, this is going to be something I had planned. Remember earlier in the year, I said that back wall is going to be interactive. Now I need a computer, we found out, after all the problems, thinking I was being shadow banned by OBS and YouTube. It's not true. Well, I do think that there is some sort of shadow banning on all paranormal shows. If you look at my downloads, my views rather, they're all around the same. They're all around 400. I was talking to some people who said, do you know how hard that is to get a consistent number continuously over the course of months? It's you're being plateaued, you're being played out. And considering how many subscribers we have now, we're over 1,300. I want to say thank you all. You know what? I know I'm shot out of a cannon. I got a lot to get to. Roll call. Let's do it. I don't expect a large crowd tonight, but we're already there. We're past 30 at 40 going to 50. Chuck Bam, what do you say? Roll call time. Come on, everybody. Autopilot. I love to see you guys here. Zach Diecast Mansour. Blue Chong Chong Chicken. What do you say, Da Solo? Chuck Bam. Again, Lee Hodgepodge. Happily. Good to see you here live. Stu Gerson. What do you say? How do you be from the other channel earlier tonight? Carlos. Hey, what do you say? How do you be? Big Cat times 2. That's a big cat. Who else we got here? Renee Cruzan. Lori Oliphant. You can't. It's Oliphant. George, I got screwed up. Joshua Morphew. Nope. Joshua More Many. And Nathan's Hot Dogs. Nathan Alan Nitsky. How you doing? AI Gaming. What do you say? How do you be? And everybody else chime. B Baker. 2 B's are better than 1 BB gun. B Baker's dozen. And everybody else coming in. Sasquatch. Mom Pa Kettle. How you doing? Chong Chong Chicken. PBR Streak. Gangbang. FAP. What are you guys doing, Peanut Butter Rolls? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. If I missed you, I didn't mean to, but we got to start the show eventually. So tonight's show is, if you haven't noticed, I've been making the rounds trying to get out there. Some of these things were planned. Some of them weren't. I was planned on Sunday, yesterday, to be on Lori and Fenton's show. It was incredible off of Revolution Radio. You can listen to that. It was a great 2 hours. And I haven't met that many people, especially women, that think and say what I think and say. It is beautiful. It's beautiful. Lori and Fenton is so smart and knows, it seems like, everybody in the field and then some. This is somebody that we need to stay in touch with. And as you may have noticed, I was on Third Phase of Moon. Also, the other night, I believe it was Saturday or Sunday? Sunday, right? I can't remember. They all run together. Was it Sunday? It was 2 nights ago. And it was the Antarctica, I was on that show where the 5 photos, we talked about them. Was it Friday? We talked about them on Friday's show. It was these pictures that, hold on, you know what they were, right? It was the photo. I had everything ready, but you know how it goes. Let's just do this. Let's do the entire screen so it's easy. So here is the pictures that I was talking about on the show. These are from Admiral Richard Byrd and a supposed visit to Antarctica. Well, he's been to both the poles in 1930. They had a ticker tape parade for this guy, Richard. You know, Rear Admiral Richard Byrd. They had a ticker tape parade for him. This guy was a rock star as an explorer back in the 30s. It's amazing. And then he kept, doing his thing, going back and forth, mapping out the North and the South Pole, mainly the South Pole. And these photos were put up on the internet around 2017. And I get a call late at night, around 9 o'clock my time, 6 o'clock Hawaii, from the Cousins brothers, Third Phase. And they're like, hey, did you get my email? And I did. And I saw the first couple, and I didn't read the entire article because I figured it was something I saw. So when they called me, I looked at this, and these were photos I've never seen. So I went on their show to talk about them with the guys, Blake and Brent Cousins. So if you want to check out that show, that live 20-something minute show we did the other night, check it out. It's up and running. Staying on the Third Phase of Moon, they have interviews with everybody. It's not like they're not going to interview David Wilcock or Corey Good. Hell, I want to interview them, but I don't. You know what I mean? I do. It'll never happen. Once they do research on me and hear how I talked about them, they will never come on my show. But the closest thing we can get is, watching them on Third Phase of Moon. You see that little blackout? I don't know if you guys saw it, but my whole screen, the computer just blacked out. So I hope we're still okay. Byrd, right, PBR, was a believer in hollowed earth. He says he was and his fleet were attacked by flying objects, disc-shaped objects that we're familiar with. You might see these new photos and say, well, some of them are faked. Yes, 3 out of the 5 here are fake. So we don't know which ones are photoshopped, but it says here in the article 3 out of the 5. I think a couple of these are faked. I thought this one was faked. I thought this one was faked. And this one. Yes, the most important ones were faked. This one, I think, is a picture of something we just don't understand. Now, I thought this might have been something that was a balloon, but it wasn't inflated. You know, they have balloons that they lower to the bottom of the floor when they want to raise objects to the top. I thought this might have been one of those type of balloons. We don't see anything attached to it. Maybe the water, maybe it's washed out. You can't see something, but maybe this is just a balloon hitting the water. But then you have this outcropping of what looks like you would see underneath a helicopter blade, correct? The wind usually would blow. I don't know what this is, but they're saying it's a UFO. This does look real to me. I don't know. I'd have to get the originals just like everybody else and do a real analysis, but it looks real. So with that being said, and staying on the third phase, which brings us to tonight. Third phase, they did an interview with David Wilcock. Before I get to that, though, I do want to look at a couple of things because the rest of the show is going to be about what David Wilcock says. And the reason I'm doing this show is to spend that much time on what he says, because what he says is, I can't, is it irresponsible? You're going to have to be the judge. I say it's irresponsible. I say it's a great story. I wish it was true. You'll hear it. I hate to interrupt where I was going. So I'm just going to get right to it. I'm not going to play any other videos right now. If we have time at the end, I'll do that. Let's just get to it. This is a third phase of moon video. You can watch it on your own, but I'm going to piece out everything. This is a 38-minute video, so we will be spending at least 40 minutes on this. If you don't want to hear what we have to say about what Wilcock thinks, I think you should hang around. I think for once, get updated on what Wilcock is doing, because it's super popular for some reason. People are living in another world. This is amazing. Here we go. Amazingly odd, with no evidence, of course.
Phase. What moon?
I know, I could fast forward.
Welcome back. Blake Cousins here, third phase of moon. I have an interview with David Wilcock that I wanted to share with you. We go into a discussion in regards to the Space Force and why the social media network is trying to basically suppress information that has some knowledge that needs to be revealed. What is
just so you know, he gets into a lot of secret space program stuff. I did watch this video to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm going to let it roll.
With the information on social media and why they're trying to hide it.
What's going on here? Why would people be so upset about the secret space program? Why would they care? Why would the, if you want to call it that, the deep state, use social media against us in this way? In other words, if we're not telling you the truth, if this is all just a big make-believe, when you try to sanitize people's opinions, there's clearly an agenda behind that. And that is like popping open the manhole cover to a really dark sewer that a lot of people don't want to look at. But you know what? If we don't go deep within and try to find the reasons for why these very bizarre things are happening in our society, then we are doomed to repeat the same mistakes that we've been making all throughout recorded time. And I don't think that that's where we need to be as a society at this point. I think we need to transcend the idea of my way or the highway, might makes right, take it or leave it.
So a socialistic type of environment, I guess.
Kind of stuff. The internet is supposed to be free. It's supposed to be something where everybody can talk.
It is free.
And that's another question
More or
that I've
less
asked
we're paying for service, but you know.
People who are skeptical about the things that we talk about, like the secret space program. I asked them this question. Well, if you are so threatened by this information, that you need a corporation to prevent you from even seeing it, don't you feel that you're cool enough, knowledgeable enough, smart enough, intelligent enough to understand for yourself what's true?
Oh, well, no. How would we be able to do that? Individually, yes. And you heard that in the Men in Black movie. Individually, people are fine. When they get together and come in groups, they become hostile, angry, animalistic. Well, that's why. Anyway.
Don't you feel that you have the pizzazz in your life to be able to decide
I've
whether
got so much pizzazz in my life, it's coming out.
you want to believe something? Do you really need a company like Facebook to tell you the truth?
What?
I've had different answers regarding President Trump and whether, in fact, he has been briefed on the extraterrestrial presence.
Oh, my God.
One of the things that I think I can get away with saying, and there's always a risk here, is that Pete Peterson told me
oh my God.
that during the time of the 2016 election, remember, Gaia was advertising our show, Cosmic Disclosure, on the front page of Drudge Report, which was Grand Central for all of the news related to the election. So there we are on the front page, being seen by millions and millions of people. And during that time, Pete had some episodes on the show. Somehow, according to Pete, Trump actually did phone him and asked him, is the stuff that you're saying in the show with David Wilcock actually true?
Trump called Pete Peterson. Are you kidding me? Donald Trump called Pete Peterson? Are you kidding me? I'd like to know the things that Pete, you're saying things on that show through Gaia. Are they true? Well, yeah, they're true. God dang it. I told you it was true. Okay. That's all I needed to know. Have a nice day. Give me a break. Trump wouldn't call Pete Peterson. Are you high? Guess what? It wasn't recorded.
And Pete said yes, and Trump said, thank you, that's all I need to know. It was a very short conversation.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Pete. The check's in the mail. Wait, but I have more to ask you. Give me a break. You think that Petey, what do you want, dear? I'm smoking my cigar. There's a phone call for you. This guy says he's Donald Trump. Who? Donald Trump. Who? Donald Trump. Tell him I'll be right there. Who is this? How you doing, Pete? Pete, this is Donald Trump. Who? Donald Trump. Who? It's Donald freaking Trump. Hey, what do you want? I mean, really, everything you say on that show, the truth? Yeah, true. All right, gotta go. Bye-bye. Wait! Give me a fucking break.
So, does Trump know what's really going on?
Swear.
And from what I've heard, again from Pete Peterson in this case, you don't get your full...
I bet you Pete Peterson knows Jocko Johnson, right? And Random Rick? And Gutter Gawker? And Richie Rich? You see where I'm going?
Cosmic security clearance. Even as the President of the United States, they don't give you that half year.
Come on.
You don't get your full... And from what I've heard, again from Pete Peterson in this case, you don't get your full cosmic security clearance. Even as the President of the United States, they don't give you that clearance until you've been president for 2.5 years.
Oh, God.
And he hasn't quite been president that long yet.
Why would you get your cosmic clearance after 2.5 years? Because it's more than 50% of the term. Thank you, Donald. Anytime, just listening in.
Because remember, the election was at the end of 2016, so you have the year 2017, 2018. So based on that statistic, Trump wouldn't be getting information about the cosmic level of clearance until mid-2019. However, we do believe that thanks to this group called the Alliance, which is, again, an international group comprising a majority of the different countries of the world, their governments, their militaries, and a surprising number of the military and intelligence community here in the US. They are all working now for a common goal, which is to stop this insanity that is going on with the globalist elite who are literally trying to depopulate the planet. They want to reduce how many people are here by billions.
Wait for it.
They even put that initiative out there in the so-called Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah, baby. I knew he was going to go Georgia on me. Georgia Guidestones, 500 million in synchronicity with the balance of Earth. Now they've upped it to 2 billion. So somebody's out there at the Georgia Guidestones right now, chipping away, putting in 2 billion people instead of 500 million. Can't write this shit. Wilcock, he knows everything. He wouldn't lie. This is beautiful. Now they changing the Guidestones to 2 billion. It's so stupid. Oh, God. He says things you can't verify. It's brilliant.
Where it says that they want to bring the planet's numbers down to 500 million people. Now, I've heard from certain insiders that they've now bumped the number up to potentially as high as 2 billion.
We figured we could do it with 2 billion instead of 500 million. Guys all over. Something.
But that still means 5 billion people gone. And this is insanity.
It's because the COVID. Remember the COVID was supposed to take everybody? Not going to happen. Remember the asteroid that was going to come here in April? Didn't happen. Is this guy going to keep spitting out these lies and you're still going to buy into it? Yes.
Remember, they do have
and we're only 5 minutes in.
Elaborate underground facilities that can hold millions of people. They have incredible underground drilling technology. They have the ability to build incredible cities in a relatively short time.
Of course they can. It's like George Costanza saying he was an engineer and that he built an architect, and that he built the addition, the extra bathroom to the Guggenheim. And the girl goes, "You did that?" And he said, "Yeah, it didn't really take that long either." That's the same exact thing he just said. It didn't take that long. You can build cities in, almost overnight, if you're talking Earth time. Oh, yeah. Of course, he can say anything he wants. None of it's verified. Beautiful, ingenious. Oh, by the way, don't forget to donate to Wilcock.
Where a lot of our money is going. Our money is not just disappearing. No. It's going underground and it's going off planet. And this is no different than what we see in the history of Rome, in which Rome was expanding so much that now all of their money is offshore because they're busy trying to build empires outside the homeland, and the homeland ends up crumbling. Except in this case, the homeland is the Earth's surface.
Oh.
What we're not seeing is these gorgeous, glistening, beautiful underground cities.
Of course.
All of these various shuttle systems that they call the sub-shuttle that allows you to be transported at very high speeds from one city to another. We don't see all the spacecraft that they've been designing.
Of course not.
We don't see the elaborate build-outs they have on the moon,
not a thing.
Which are usually on the dark side so that we don't see the lights when the moon is obscured by the Earth's shadow.
Perfect.
We don't see any of the stuff that they've got on Mars.
Nope.
We don't see the stuff that they have on various other moons and asteroids in our solar system. This is real. This is not science fiction. We are being lied to on an unbelievable level. And Trump definitely is aware of at least
By the way, after this tonight, I have a very, very important announcement to make.
Part of what is going on. They don't answer to anybody. They're not accountable to anybody, and they have a technological advantage that makes it very difficult to approach them on their own terms.
Of course.
But this is another interesting area, which is the idea that the secret space program itself, despite being what Richard Dolan would call a breakaway civilization, actually does have its own alliance where they are doing their part to try to bring all of their technology to us. Understand that the whistleblowers I've spoken to, the insiders, have said that the technology in the secret space program is so vast that it would literally solve all of the problems we have on Earth. Clean up radiation, desalinate water, and bring it to the point where it's drinkable.
We can do that already.
Greening the desert.
there's a lot of things that he's going to say that we can already do. Oh, God, it's beautiful, though.
Solving all of our problems with trash, solving all of our problems with hunger, with poverty, starvation, homelessness, you name it.
See, what he forgets is that all these things cost a lot of money. There's a reason why. Never mind. I'm not going to get on my soapbox, so let's just leave it up to him.
There is nothing that we can't do with the technology that already exists. This technology also includes portal travel, the ability for us to go to the stars. It's truly phenomenal stuff.
That's why sometimes I can't find my keys, right? I can't find the 8-ball. Remember, I lost the magic 8-ball? The keys, I couldn't find those. You know, a hat. You know what it is? It's the Mandela effect. That's what it is. It's all Mandela. God almighty, can you imagine? If he throws in the Mandela effect, and I don't think he does, I don't know if I can. I would have to. I think I'd blow my brains out.
And it shouldn't be kept hidden from us. So wouldn't it be amazing?
I know. It solves a lot of problems, right? Yeah.
If President Trump decided to come forward with what he knows. And that seems to be a big part of what's going on here. And I've been talking about this for many years. Pete Peterson was giving me briefings from the Alliance all the way back in 2009, where they had a plan to do mass arrests of the people in the so-called deep state.
Is the recent vamping up of the Space Force in regards to maybe some kind of hostile alien threat amongst us?
So President Trump mentioning that he's creating a Space Force and this is going to be a new branch of the U.S. military is certainly a very interesting point. And in fact, my fellow commentator Benjamin Fulford recently just told me that he was listening to radio in Japan and they were recruiting soldiers for a Space Force and said that it would be similar to serving on a ship. This is happening now.
Right.
So we have some really interesting stuff going on here. What does Trump mean by a Space Force? What are we really hearing here? Where is this all going?
Space.
I have received briefings about what this is supposed to be.
Here it comes.
And where it's taking us.
Oh, this is good.
And it is very interesting.
This is gold.
It does appear that we as a planet may need to fight some kind of a battle. Because from what I've been hearing from various insiders, there is a very serious battle going on in space right now. We did apparently have a group of extraterrestrial beings that are highly evil, that have been written throughout our histories and our mythologies, going all the way back to the ancient Hindu scriptures, where they have Rakshasas, also called snakes, humanoid beings that look reptilian that are very evil. So this is nothing new. These beings show up.
I got to pause it right there because he's going to say some stuff that's truly unbelievable and nobody knows for sure. Yes, the Incas and the Mayans drew what looks like, to me, spacemen, you know, that sarcophagus of the guy sitting on the rocket. To me, it looks like he's manipulating controls, has a breathing apparatus, his foot's on the pedal, fire shoots out of the bottom, and all this stuff. What amazes me about that is the same thing you would hear about Ezekiel's wheel. A wheel inside of a wheel on fire. Why are they still using that kind of propulsion back then? I don't understand it. Did they not have this technology where flames didn't shoot out from the bottom? It sounds like we went back in time, I don't know, and taught their guys how. And you have to believe in time travel. I don't believe in it. So if that's not true, then who were these gods that came in from the sky? And things they wrote, things they chiseled, things they painted, all of that stuff meant something. They don't just write down their thoughts like we do on Facebook and take a picture of our lunch and post it up on the site there. This is something that meant something, that was historical to them, that had to be written down for future generations to know what happened, what did happen to them, where they possibly went. That's one thing. We never find out where they all went. We just find out that they disappeared. So did they get taken away? Was there a Georgia Guidestone built back in those days that said we have to minimize the population to 150,000 people worldwide? And then they upped it to like, I don't know, 500 million? I don't know. But anyway, it's interesting to hear, but we don't know 100% for sure that aliens were here in the past. It puts together the puzzle nicely because nothing else does. Like, we don't know how they built that stuff. We could only imagine how they built these pyramids, built these places they lived in. We really don't know 100%. I don't know. Archaeologists think they know, but does somebody really know? Yeah, David Wilcock knows.
In people's fears, the archetype of Satan and demons, these beings that have vertical slit pupils, that have scaly skin.
We have learned through Unidentified last year, remember during episode 4, where Luis Elizondo was told, we're not going to mess with these demons. You want to research demons? We're not going to help you do it. It was an amazing last 5 minutes of that show.
There actually is something to that. There's some deep part of our subconscious or our greater higher self that apparently knows these beings exist.
See, this is what bothers me. I do meditation. I've been doing meditation for a very long time. Transcendental meditation. I've tried other different kinds, but that's the one I stick closely to because it seems to work well for me in my own way. I have never, ever felt that aliens would talk to me or be a part of my life, even though I asked them to for 4 years straight, almost every night. It never happened, not while in my awake status. But David Wilcock says we all know internally that they're around. No.
Different ETs that we see are human looking in various forms, but this particular type is indeed derived from reptilian life, but it's reptilian life that evolved into a human-like form. They tend to be a lot taller than we are, sometimes twice the height or more of a conventional human being. They could weigh up to 3,000 pounds, be 14 feet tall, have a 5 foot wide span of their shoulders. These are
a 5 foot wide
nasty beings. And they came to the earth apparently going back to ancient history. They've been tampering with many different cultures throughout time. And they even made a deal with Nazi Germany in the late 1930s before it truly became Nazi Germany and did what it was doing for World War II. All of this stuff is not fiction. I've had too many different insiders who proved their bona fides to me. They showed me the legal documentation of their military.
Their bona fides. Yep, we don't get to see any of this documentation.
Military service. They speak very articulately.
Wow, you know, most people in the military speak articulately. See, I don't. I wasn't in the military.
Many of them are not on the record. They all have talked about these reptilian humanoids. And this is one of the things.
That's David Wilcock. That's Corey Good. I'm just saying.
That Above Majestic does so
See,
well.
He's got the club foot. Yeah, that's why he's so mad all the time.
Is to expose what these beings are, where they came from. We have rare footage from William Tompkins that nobody's ever seen before except for maybe a few people.
Of course.
In which he's talking about this and the fact that he was there in World War II taking briefings from 29 different American spies embedded in Germany's secret space program. And one of the things that they were seeing as they were working in these secret facilities is these tall, reptilian-looking humanoids that were obviously extraterrestrials telling everybody what...
All right, I got to pause this because I got to say something. So, these are coming from insiders. Okay, he's named a couple of names already, but according to Wilcock, there's a couple of people who are on the inside who have seen these pictures. We won't, but it's amazing. So you have to wonder, how much of this is real? That's what's so fascinating to the stories that he tells, because you almost want to believe what he's saying because he articulates very well and he is a good speaker. He'll brag about himself here in a little bit. It's funny. But there's some things here that he's saying that might be true. Not because he saw them, but because other people told him. Have you ever played that game, Telephone? If I give you a sentence, tell Johnny he has to be at the house at 5 p.m. or don't come over. Whisper it into somebody else's ear. Then they whisper it to the person next to them and it'll be a little different. And then by the time it gets to the 10th person, it's like, yeah, be over at Johnny's, I don't know, 8 or 9, party starts early, bring food. You know, it'll be totally different. So from a whistleblower to an insider to a guy who has a connection to certain people and with a certain rank, then it gets to David Wilcock. I'm not sure how much that story has changed, but if there's proof, we'd like to see it. And we always tell Wilcock we need proof. Why isn't there proof? Well, it's very difficult. I might be dead. I can tell you all the stories I want, but once I show proof, it's a bullet between the eyes. No, not for you, because you're nobody. You're a zero. You've never been in a secret space program. Yes, you may have met people. And yes, people like the way you speak and tell stories. Don't you realize that's the only reason you're in this existence? That's why nobody's dropping you. People still want to hear from you. Because what if these stories are corroborated by other people? Some have, but no evidence. Anyway.
What to do, running the show, being in charge. Violent beings you do not want to mess with, beings that will kill you if you disagree with them. So everybody's basically in something like a slave camp. But what I've heard from Pete Peterson is that in the not too distant past, there was a war in which we, as in Earth humanity, are now throwing off this Draco reptilian control. We are fighting them. We are fighting them in space. We are fighting them underground. There are entire cities that they had that we have destroyed. We have brought up our level of technology to the point that we are now at parity with them.
You gotta be effing crazy to believe this.
We can fight them on their own territory. Our weapons are as good as
we now have weapons as good as the aliens because of reverse engineering. That's what he's saying. We now are on the same level after just 50, 70 years. That's it. That's all it took. We went from kerosene lamps and using air to dry our clothes in the backyard to now having alien weaponry that can destroy an alien's city. And nothing happened here. Nothing happened on planet Earth. No, nobody's city got hit by a laser beam bomb. You know what I mean? None of that would ever happen because we defend the country so well with our technology. If you buy this shit, he's talking out his ass. This is impossible. Rich, how can you say this is impossible? You just said moments ago you don't know what the truth is. Don't you think we would have seen something by now if this war? Imagine. They were outgunning us, beating us for all these years, and all of a sudden, we now caught up to them. Give me a fucking break. We would have been decimated. Our army would have been destroyed before they let us get to that point of creating weapons that match them. Are you freaking out of your mind? Do you realize how stupid that sounds?
Their weapons, and it is a very serious
only a third of the way through the video.
Battle that involves thousands of ships, many, many thousands of soldiers. And again, most of these people are living in a breakaway civilization. There was something called the brain drain in the 1950s, in which many, many people got shipped off planet, and they are no longer a part of Earth reality. They don't get to come back. They either stay underground or they stay off planet. In some cases,
you
they're
realize
told that
what he just
wipe-
said. You may have missed it. Thank you, Lee, for the 0.79 euros. That's freaking awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, super chat's on. Thank you, man. Happily. So what David Wilcock just said is that a lot of people go missing, right? Well, these people wind up in these camps, and they are taken away. Either they go underground or off planet or who knows where, but they are told that they are now part of the secret space program militia, and they will be taught how to battle aliens. This is fucking amazing. Can you imagine the revolt? I mean, can you imagine you're getting abducted? Now all of a sudden they keep you and teach you how to be a soldier to aliens. And you say, I want to go back to planet Earth. And they said, Earth was destroyed. You don't have an Earth in me. This is your reality. Are you kidding me? This is unreal. This is better than any movie I've ever seen.
Wiped out our planet in the 1980s with a nuclear war.
Here, listen, I'll go back just a little bit.
Even if they want something called the brain drain in the 1950s, in which many, many people got shipped off planet.
Right there.
And they are no longer a part of Earth reality. They don't get to come back. They either stay underground or they stay off planet. In some cases, they're told that we wiped out our planet in the 1980s with a nuclear war, but they can't come home, even if they wanted to. And the information is so tightly controlled that there's no way that they would ever know otherwise. So bear in mind that this is the world that I live in. These are the insiders that I talk to. It's very controversial stuff, but we have heard that there may in fact be a need for us to fend off more of this Draco threat, and that there will be a
Why
need
would
for
there be a need? I thought we handled them. Aren't we handling the situation? We've now matched their firepower. So what's this need? What's the worry about? Oh, yeah. That's why 500 million is now 2 billion on the Georgia. The guy's out there right now changing the guide stones. What is that? He's done. So we'll have a photo of it for tomorrow. It is now 2 billion people are allowed to live on planet Earth, according to Wilcock.
From the conventional world to become aware of this and to engage in the fight. And this is serious. I'm not making this up. This is some of the briefings that I've gotten.
Anybody who has to tell you this is serious, I'm not making this up, is worried that you're not going to believe them because he's making it up.
True, but it's certainly a provocative question. We have had a new wave of disclosure in the UFO community. We were already starting to get some of this in the Disclosure Project event in 2001. Some of the witnesses there had some really interesting things to say when they testified on May 9th, 2001 in front of the National Press Club.
So here we are almost 20 years later, and disclosure is no closer than it was then. So what does that tell everybody? Huh? Go.
It didn't get the kind of coverage that it should have, but there were 39 people there. I was there the day after on May 10th, 2001 for the closed executive VIP summary briefing for members of Congress and their aides. I got in as a VIP because I had gotten on to Coast AM with Art Bell, and that was enough to get me press credentials. I'm very, very glad that I got to go, and I did get to meet.
There's no such thing as press credentials. I'm just letting you know that, everybody, because the First Amendment gives you the freedom to record anything you want. The freedom of press. Hello. Freedom of speech. There's no company that makes press passes. I could make it up right now. Make one called Goof on News, which I'm going to do. And the lanyard will say Goof on News, reporter for all things paranormal. And then I'll sign the bottom of it, and then I'll fake a signature on the side of it of my boss or whatever, which would be me. Well, so just because he was on Art Bell does not give you clearance, Clarence. By the way, where is Clarence? I haven't seen him around in a while. Closer Encounters?
Almost all of those 39 people at that event. That was my introduction to meeting insiders. But then when Project Camelot came out 2006, I actually got together and affiliated with them in 2007, and I began wanting to get introduced to various insiders they had in exchange for trading my own insider information with them. This is where I met Daniel, who claims to have worked on the Montauk Project, in which they took a seat out of a flying saucer type of craft hooked it up to a very high energy power supply.
Okay. I'm going to pause that. We'll rewind it. I saw the greatest comment just now by Wreakin' Havoc 215. Read this. I always wondered if UFO crashes were just UFOs shot down by other UFOs in war with one another. That's brilliant. Congratulations, my friend. That has to be one of the smartest things I've ever heard for why there's so many UFOs crashing. I always said, how could they be crashing? They fly all this way and they can't handle a little bit of Earth's gravity? No, it's because they're damaged and they're trying to land on the planet. Dude, you just blew my mind. I've never heard anybody say that before. I have got to make sure people understand that comment. That makes sense. Absolutely. Well, you want to say hit by lightning? I don't buy that. But they could have been struck by lightning in Roswell or other towns because they just happen to be crashing in that area. I don't know. But if they didn't have their defense systems working for whatever reason, yeah, lightning could cause a lot of damage to a metal object flying through a storm. Absolutely. Brilliant, Wreakin' Havoc. God darn it, that is just gold right there. You should write for David Wilcock. That is brilliant. I know. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to roll back about 20 seconds here on the audio video because we forget. Not that it's super important, but
was enough to get me press credentials.
There we go.
I'm very, very glad that I got to go. And I did get to meet almost all of those 39 people at that event. That was my introduction to meeting insiders. But then when Project Camelot came out 2006, I actually got together and affiliated with them in 2007. And I began wanting to get introduced to various insiders they had in exchange for trading my own insider information with them. This is where I met Daniel, who claims to have worked on the Montauk project, in which they took a seat out of a flying saucer type of craft, hooked it up to a very high energy power supply, and then with the proper training, a psychic could sit in the chair, and that psychic could think about a particular place, and a portal would open up in the room that you could actually send people through, and they would go to that place. And they quickly figured out they could do this through space and time. Now, Daniel was someone who I spent a long, long time talking to, many, countless numbers of hours of getting briefings on this. It's a very, very complicated story, but it fits in with what all the others are saying. Project Camelot comes forward and starts bringing out new information, and I start to meet some of these witnesses, and for whatever reason, they began telling me a lot more than they were telling Bill Ryan and Kerry Cassidy. That's not my fault. It's not something that I wanted them to do, but it just turned out that they were trusting me more for whatever reason. They were telling me things that they didn't want to say to anyone else. They were worried about the possibility that this information would go public, and I convinced them that I would keep their confidentiality. So it wasn't really until I met Emery Smith, Pete Peterson, and Jacob in 2009.
There's the Man, Nemo, and Jack of the secret space program. And then you have David Wilcock and Corey Good, which is GoodeCock. Oh my God. I can't believe what we're about to hear.
My information on all this started to go into warp drive. And what I've since learned is very important.
Uh-oh.
We do have a war taking place between different types of extraterrestrials. Almost every insider you meet is going to tell you that the vast majority of all the extraterrestrials that are out there visiting us today using cloaking technology, so we rarely see their ships. Occasionally we do. So when we're looking at extraterrestrials, we're looking at that most of them are benevolent. Most of them are the good guys. They've showed up in various cultures as gods, as angels, as benevolent spiritual teachers.
And then they killed everybody.
Then you have a much smaller number that are very aggressive and very evil. And this war, by the way, between extraterrestrials, this is a war that is fought by proxy. We are the proxies. The choices that we make determine how that extraterrestrial battle takes place. The reason why is that we have a lot of free will over what's going to happen on this planet. So we have to authorize bad things to happen. The authorization comes by us allowing ourselves to be conquered. The negative has to advertise what they're doing. They have to show us the symbols. They do it in music videos. They do it in movies. They do it at the Super Bowl halftime show. They did it in the Olympics opening and closing ceremonies. They put the symbolism in our faces. Many of these various things show us these symbols. For example, the F in the Facebook logo is very similar to the logo for Two-Ball Cane. We see in the Google Play logo something that looks very much like the sigil of Lucifer.
It looks very much like it, but it's not. Come on, man. That's Mandela bullshit.
Lots of examples like this you can dig up if you go digging for it online.
Yeah, if you go digging for it and looking for the subliminal messages that aren't there, sure, you can make up any narrative you want. You do.
My point in telling you this is not to scare you. My point in telling you this is to understand that we actually have the control. We have the control over how the future is going to go.
Oh, shit.
The negative beings are not allowed to do more than what we authorize. And so what their focus is on trying to get us manipulated to the point where we are selfish, greedy, manipulative to one another, and then in so doing, we authorize these disasters to take place.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Humans are, it's in our genome. We're automatically greedy. We're automatically generous. We're automatically everything he just said. But we're also everything good. So taking what he said into consideration doesn't make sense. We have been greedy since day one. We, of course, buy out businesses and sell them off for profit. This kind of stuff has been going on for years. After Tesla died, what happened? The FBI took all of his stuff, all of his personal stuff, all of his inventions, and they put it away in a place that only they could use it, find it, and create from it, right? There is so much greed. They should just take us out now instead of saying that the Georgia Guidestones used to be 500 million. Now the Georgia Guidestones, they've upped it to 2 billion are allowed to live. Do you see how silly all this sounds? It's really silly. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. We're already greedy.
So yes, there are certain national security concerns regarding certain types of ETs, but as long as we on Earth maintain positivity, those ETs cannot come after us and hurt us.
They can't come after us and hurt us, he said, until we give them permission to. Stupid.
Ready for disclosure. We've had generations of disclosure already happening. We've already heard from great insiders who've given us great information. Dr. Stephen Greer's Disclosure Project in 2001 was truly a monumental event.
Means nothing now.
I was very fortunate to be able to be there myself.
And where's
to meet most of those 39 insiders. And then I had many other insiders come forward to me afterwards. And now it's kind of unfortunate in a way that a lot of these people didn't come forward to anybody else but me. I'm not even really sure why that is. I was very good at keeping people's confidentiality. I'm a great talker. People liked me. They wanted to hang out.
Wait.
So I got to know a lot of different people. And now it's kind of unfortunate in a way that a lot of these people didn't come forward to anybody else but me. I'm not even really sure why that is. I was very good at keeping people's
confidentiality. He says that all these people came forward to him. Why? Why would they just come out to David Wilcock? Did they? Is he? I don't know. I don't know that to be a fact, but to me, I don't know if he really did get any additional information from the whistleblowers that he said opened up to him more than anybody else. And to me, I just don't know if that makes any sense. I mean, we're going back to 2001, right? Didn't he say that? I don't know. I don't know what to think about that statement. I think he might be thinking that he was the only one.
Confidentiality. I'm a great talker. People liked me. They wanted to hang out. So I got to know a lot of different people who had some very interesting things. And when you get into this world, the information is so complicated. There's so many things you hear. You can't possibly remember everything people tell you. It's so intense. But then what happens is you'll be talking to somebody else, and then that somebody else will bring up things that you heard from 2 or 3 other people.
Right.
And it's as if they're all part of a greater community with a commonly shared
It's called the bullshit community. Oh, welcome aboard.
Body of information that they're all drawing off of. This makes it so unlikely that what I was hearing could have in any way been the product of lying or some kind of elaborate disinformation campaign. I know it's very hard for people to believe that this is true, but there actually is a lot of evidence. When people say there is no evidence, that is something the media has trained them to say. It is a psychological operation run by groups like the Central Intelligence
Wait a
Agency.
minute. Nobody ever told me not to believe him. He's just said that mainstream media told us not to believe that. No, is that what he just said?
Disinformation campaign. I know it's very hard for people to believe that this is true, but there actually is a lot of evidence. When people say there is no evidence, that is something the media has trained them to say. It is a psychological operation.
No, that's not true. And I'll tell you why. As a critical thinker, a pretty good one at that, like many of you, I never was persuaded by any media at all. I don't like or watch mainstream news or anything like that. So that comment makes no sense. I listened to you, Wilcock. I listened to Good, Basaggio, Petey Boy over there. All these people have no proof. When we ask for it, you tell me that the media trained me to think that way, instead of saying, yes, there is truth out there. Here's where you go get it. Instead, he sidesteps that and says, media is the problem.
Run by groups like the Central Intelligence Agency, trying to make you blind to the truth. So if we get some kind of disclosure, are we going to get the whole truth, or are we going to only get part of the truth, or is it all going to be made up?
Never mind.
We stand at the birth of a new millennium, ready to unlock the mysteries of space, to free the Earth from the miseries of disease, and to harness the energies, industries, and technologies of tomorrow.
Trump sounds
I
drunk.
can't make any type of proclamation that would say for certain how disclosure is going to go down. What I do know is that there are groups on this planet that want to tell us the truth. They want to show us the truth. There are ways in which unequivocal proof could be demonstrated.
So why not show us the proof? Show it. I don't want to yell. So why not show us the evidence? Just show it. Once somebody rips open that lid, it's over. The cat's out of the bag. Yes? I don't understand it. If somebody, let me get this straight, Wilcock and Good. Anybody else who's out there who thinks that they could bring disclosure along with all this evidence you have, why not have a huge podcast with all the whistleblowers in blacked out and voice change or whatever you want to do, and just say, here's my evidence, and everybody show the evidence at one time. Just show it. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? You already know what's on the other side. You said the other side is better than this side in other interviews. You know that. You're an ascensioneer.
What it probably is going to come down to, as I have heard
Listen
from
to
Pete
this.
Peterson, is that they are going to do things similar to the World's Fair, in which various extraterrestrial craft that crashed and were recovered and kept in places like Hangar 18, Area 51, will be brought to major cities.
Shut up.
There will be displays that happen where you can see the ships. Now, I don't know if they're going to allow people to actually go inside the ships or if they're just going to let them see it from a distance with some kind of barrier in the way. For all I know, they may actually allow you to go inside. So this is what I'm hearing, that there will be a massive amount of technology and information that is released. We very likely will get introduced to various extraterrestrial groups. This is one of the things I've also heard very consistently. And we've also heard that our own military-industrial complex has very advanced craft that they are going to decloak in our atmosphere. And again, people would say, well, yeah, that's a hoax, right? That's just a Project Bluebeam. It's a hologram. Not if they decloak it and they land it and then you get inside and take a ride and they film the whole...
But you can't fire your weapon if you're cloaked. Duh. Come on. Did you just hear this? He heard that they are going to display UFOs, craft, alien craft that have crash landed. I don't know why people say crash landed. That crashed. They didn't land. They crashed. That crashed into Earth. And they're going to put them on display. I don't know if they're going to let people go inside or not. I don't know if they're going to have barriers in between. But I heard they're going to display these UFOs, you know, and go state to state and put them on. And then they're going to put them on display. And then ships that we have, aircraft, is going to be cloaked, flying and then landing and then uncloaking. Yeah, people might say, oh, that's all fake. That's a hologram. No. I heard that they are going to decloak as they're landing. People can walk up and touch the craft as it's landing. It would never happen in a million years. Do you know the security that would have to be around those craft? Do you know how many people I would think would try to take a run to the entrance of the craft if it was open? I got to tell you, as the personality I am, if they decided to put these out, and I'm letting them know now, if they display craft and they have some sort of rope or some sort of barrier, I'm going to go through that barrier and run towards the craft with my camera, with the helmet cam, with the body cam. And yeah, I may be arrested, but it'll be live streaming. Oh yeah, do not do that. I'm telling the military, I'm telling the government, do not do what Wilcock says you are going to do. I will make sure to get the footage. Believe me, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We're going to put them on display and just go town to town showing people what you... I mean, that would be great, right? It's like Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus going town to town back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, showing off the mermaid or a Bigfoot or, you know what I mean? I don't think that's going to work.
Thing, and then you come back, and other people go inside and they film it and they come back. We have the power to address our elected leaders.
Stupid.
We can write them. We can do petitions. We can do peaceful protests. We can make our voices heard as an electorate. We can bring out the truth. We can speak truth to power. And we can allow ourselves to become those inquisitors who force disclosure to come to the surface, because we will not accept partial disclosure. We will not accept only hearing little bits of the truth. Remember that the things that I've been telling you come from multiple different insiders There's actually a wealth of scientific evidence that backs all this stuff up.
And every one of those people have no proof. Every one. Every single person. Yeah, I know there's proof that they were in the military. Yeah, I know they may have had proof or special clearance, but for what? Nothing can be verified. It's not proof unless it's verifiable. Okay, you got a real general there on his deathbed. Say, we saw a tall alien. He don't give a shit. They don't say, not only are you not allowed to speak about this until your days are done on this earth, but if you speak out, your family will suffer the consequences. None of these whistleblowers would actually come out and say the aliens are running around. This is what's always kept me on the skeptical side of a whistleblower. Yeah, there are people who have seen legitimate stuff and can back it up. Yeah, there are. But you know what? It's always blurry, out of focus, or the radar's taken away, or it's undeterminable what the object is. There's always some sort of loophole to show that, yeah, maybe it's not real. Maybe the guy is making it up. There's never evidence that can actually point to something and say that is disclosure 100%. That's a UFO guy, and he's standing next to a real UFO. Bob Lazar didn't have any photos. He had a bunch of shit that we had to piece together and make several documentaries over just to try to put it in your head that it's possible Bob Lazar worked at S4. How many times does Wilcock and David Wilcock and Corey Good have to do this? I can't even get their names. I was thinking GoodeCock. These guys are continually selling bullshit without evidence. You want to believe it? That's fine. I'd love to believe it. If I wasn't in the field and I heard this guy talking, I'd be like, holy crap. All this is going on? You mean there's a war in space that I can't see with aliens? And earlier, we were told that we now have the firepower to match the aliens' firepower. So why are we so worried about this? Why do we need a Space Force, you ask? Space Force has nothing to do with aliens. It has everything to do with getting your satellites taken out in a World War III, which is going to happen anyway. Everybody's going to lose satellite. Everybody's going to lose. We're all going to be out. You know that if World War III happens, there's nothing you or I will be able to do, nor will your government be able to save you from your devices not working anymore. We will not be able to interact with people on our phones. We will lose internet connection. We will lose everything. Don't think for a minute it's aliens. God, I would love it to be aliens. But don't you think taking down a country's grid would give you the upper hand in a World War III? Absolutely. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think Space Force is really going to protect our satellites? Absolutely not. Unless what David Wilcock is saying is true, we have the firepower now. That is millions of years in technology ahead of time. It's amazing. We're fine, America. We're fine. What's that? COVID-19?
Written 3 books now with Penguin Random House: The Source Field Investigations, The Synchronicity Key, and The Ascension Mysteries. There's over 1,000 academic references in Source Field. There's over 700 in Synchronicity Key, and there's over 400, I believe, in Ascension Mysteries. So this is a huge body of information. It's not something where I'm asking people to take my word for it. It's not simply the result of 1 or 2 insiders who can be easily debunked. This is the result of talking to dozens of different insiders, doing the scientific research to back up what they say. And we have wonderful YouTube channels like Third Phase of the Moon who are coming out with...
Dickhead, it's not Third Phase of the Moon. And he says it constantly. It's Third Phase of Moon. Do you see how disrespectful He is. He doesn't even give a shit to even look at the name of the show that he's going to be on. Take it into consideration and say it properly. David Cock. Oh, it's Wilcock. Oh, well, what's
Truly
the
groundbreaking
difference?
research.
I got
every
more than
week,
half right.
bringing you the
Asshole.
information you need to understand what's happening in this world. Fighting these powers that would try to keep the secrets from us. We can't be held down anymore. Our voices are becoming too strong. We're unifying as a community. We're bringing this message out, and we need your help. We need your help by watching things like Third Phase of the Moon.
If disclosure does happen,
Nice. Third Phase of the Moon. Again, I think he says it like a couple more times. So wrong. It's just wrong.
who's gonna break it? Is it gonna be the United States? Could it be Russia? Could it be China? Or could it be the extraterrestrials themselves? What's your thoughts?
I really would love to know the answer to this question just as much as anybody else. And again, it's like trying to read the tea leaves before this has actually happened. There are countries that have already tried to do disclosure, but the force of mainstream media censorship and control is very powerful. Look at what's happening with
Wait a second. Who's tried to do disclosure? Anybody? Who's tried disclosure? There is no try. There's only do. It's either you disclose or you don't. You don't try. If you're going to do it, you do it. What do you mean? They started the TV show and they or a place where they were documenting disclosure, and all of a sudden some guy from the FBI or CIA or secret space program came in and stopped the broadcast, covered up the UFOs behind the curtain. That is the type of stoppage that would mean they started disclosure and tried stopping it. They didn't try to get it up and running. What do you have to do? You just do it. If you're a government and you want to have disclosure, you just do it. What do you mean you tried? Oh God, it makes me so mad. If we were in France and the government says, we're going to put it on TV, aliens are working with us. Boom, they put it on TV.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of these different social media platforms just outright banning people, taking away pages that have millions of followers
except for you. They won't take his stuff down, right? He's allowed to talk. He's allowed to talk about all this stuff. They're not taking it down because it's not real. Nobody's walking around, Chuck Bam, right? Nobody's walking around with UFO footage. Nobody's walking around with alien bodies or pieces or footage of an alien. Nobody is. And if they were, you, me, would never know about it. Never. Yeah. That's why David Wilcock can speak all he wants, because none of it is real. And I'm going to tell you, I believe in a secret space program. Not his, but I believe, just like in the movie Contact, if you could build one, why not build two? If you have NASA, the whole cover-up of the real secret space program, the real program, yeah, that's how you do it. And I believe that's what we're doing. Is that going to be Space Force? No. Space Force is a legitimate defense system to protect our satellites. You want to think it's aliens, go for it. It's also to protect the internet and the thousands and thousands of satellites that are going to be put up by Elon Musk. Don't think that he doesn't have a play in this either. That's reality. This guy, David Wilcock, Corey Good, all these other guys who've flown back and forth to Mars, have been age regressed and all this other stuff. Somehow their memory wasn't erased. Somehow they were allowed to tell you and me about this. Now, let's talk about this as if, as if it is real. If it is real, because we have to look at it both ways to really give a good look at it. If David Wilcock is telling the truth, and all these other guys, I have yet to see anything proving that it exists. I know that's the trick of it all. Yes, I've seen certain documents that say certain people worked in a certain place, but it's always with a different name or a code or something I can't decipher. And I just have to take somebody's word for it. Well, anything could be fake now. Anything. I don't know. What would be the agenda for a guy who's been in the military for, let's say, 50 years of his life on his deathbed to become a whistleblower? Why? Why would he do that, even though knowing that his family could be in danger? Why would he do that? Because he wants the truth for the betterment of society and humane. Now, whistleblowers have been coming out for 40 years. Nothing's happened. And whistleblowers, and maybe this is what he means by media, any sort of evidence by a whistleblower will be tucked away or not played or not shown, not prime time, on the weekend at 2 a.m. That kind of exposure when nobody else is awake. The internet's always awake. Age regressed. You like that? You see, Lee? All the way to a baby. Nope. I haven't looked at the chat room. Aliens told us to get the heck out of here and made fun of our tiny heads. That's probably true. All right, we're almost done.
Right. Doing it for the right-wing side, where it has to do with Republican conservative ideals. Doing it for the left wing, where it's about nutrition, organic food, exercise, healthy eating. They're doing it to everybody. And they're really doing it in this field of UFOs, conspiracy theory, conspiracy analysis, the secret space program. All of these mysterious secrets are coming together, and we are getting the truth out. We are the disclosure. So don't wait for a country like China or Russia or the United States to make an official announcement. We are doing this ourselves. You are helping by watching a movie like Above Majestic, a true disclosure phenomenon, a red pill movie that can take somebody who doesn't know anything and give them a truly alarming wake-up call.
That didn't work out the way I wanted it. Yeah, to give us a wake-up call. That's it. I will not pay to watch that movie. I'm gonna play it out. It's almost over.
Smell the coffee. This is not something that's going to take years. This is something that could take months.
Oh, come on.
We just need enough people on the same page, bring this message out, doing the research like we see here on Third Phase of the Moon, bring you knowledge, bring you information that is transforming.
But here's the problem, jerky. You've been doing this for over 20 years. You have never brought us one piece of proof. I know you're going to tell me that, document. I'm like everybody else. We don't want to see the documents anymore. We want you to prove that you were in, we want the proof you went to Mars. We just want proof. I know proof is the word of the day. Seems to be missing.
The very nature of consciousness itself. And with that, let's go to the next question.
All right, David, I know you and Corey have been friends for quite some time. I just want to get your thoughts. When Corey was explaining to you some of these stories that he explains his visitation to the Antarctic and the war of the reptilians and the avian blues, what was your first thoughts? Did you think this guy was nuts? And how did you guys first meet anyway?
Here we go.
Okay, that's a pretty complicated question, but let's begin with how did I first meet Corey Goode? Corey Goode began writing me emails, and I think I've traced it all the way back to about 2009. And at the time, he was only leaking to me certain pieces of weird information he picked up during his time working for the Texas State Guard. And there was some pretty cool stuff there. We talked from time to time. We had limited amount of dialogue, not a whole lot. We talk a few times a year by email. But he didn't ever really tell me what he knew, what he had remembered. That didn't happen until he decided to come forward on a much larger level, the first emails of which I saw in October 2014. And at that time, he emailed Bill Ryan and Kerry Cassidy of Project Camelot. He interviewed, or tried to get an interview with Benjamin Fulford, and he wrote me. Now, I have to admit, when I first got these emails from Corey Goode, I didn't know what to think about this dude. And I kind of just held back. He's talking pretty strange. He's got a lot of weird jargon that I haven't heard before. Let me just watch for a while, see what this guy's up to, see where this is going. I'm not going to make any sudden moves. So he did first interview with Project Camelot. Benjamin Fulford didn't really take the invitation. And I started to see him writing various things in discussion forums and making various posts. And it was after reading this in more depth that I started to see, oh my gosh, how does he know about that? How does he know about that? How does he know about this? Where did he get that from? Nobody's ever said this publicly before. Where did that come from? How did he get this? That's when I got excited. I wrote him and I said, dude, we need to talk. And it actually took about a week before he started to talk to me. But very quickly, this is now about the end of October 2014, beginning of November 2014. We began talking for about 2 hours at a time, almost every day. And I had my little recorder running the whole time, so we do have all that audio from all those conversations. There was a certain amount of personal material, but basically I was just interrogating the heck out of this guy. And along the way, I kept bringing up things that I had heard from other insiders, and it was absolutely amazing how much correlation there was with all the different people I met from Disclosure Project, with multiple other insiders, many of whom, for whatever reason, as I said, have only been willing to speak with me. Here's a guy who seems to know little bits of what everybody else has said. He's got this overarching degree of knowledge. It was stunning how many...
Hold on a second. 2013 is when he first learned about Corey Goode? I'm really confused. And by the way, that's a fantastic question. How did you meet Corey Goode? And then in 2014, they started talking. Am I having a Mandela effect? Because I remember in 2006 and 2007, we were talking about these guys. I'm really confused. I have to go back 800 shows to see. I am almost positive we were talking about Corey Goode and David Wilcock way before 2013. I'm confused. Wow. I don't know what to say. I'm having a Mandela effect.
Dots were connecting, names of programs, secret code words, very specific pieces of information, very quirky things in which I would start a sentence, he would finish it, and we both are talking about something that we both had heard about, or in my case, I heard about it. In his case, he had experienced it. Now, you mentioned in your question this idea.
Oh, just to answer to Lee, you said, yeah, David Wilcock's been asked that question, how did you meet Corey Goode? Probably 1,000 times. You want to know something, Lee? I didn't know how they met. Either that or I forgot because I don't care, but I do care. And I think that we have to be careful what we believe. These are incredible stories that were being told again.
Of a war between the Blue Avians and the Draco Reptilians, and I wouldn't really call it that.
Why is there a war? Do we know why there's a war? Is it for supreme control over these little humans? Who, by the way, now have the artillery to fight back against aliens, in case you haven't heard.
Because the Blue Avians operate at a level where they don't directly interact with these reptilian beings.
Ah.
They would be more like overseers, giving advice, giving guidance, helping people out. They work at a level where the Draco would never even be able to see them or access them. The war is really more of a war that's taking place between beings that we would consider to be living inside the earth. They are what we would think of as angelic. And when they did end up meeting with Corey starting in March of 2015, it started with the Blue Avians, and it wasn't until later that he actually met with these inner earth beings that called themselves the Anshar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Third phase has no responsibility to Corey Goode or David Wilcock. They're asking questions and have absolutely no fight in this. I can't speak. I'm reading at the same time. You can't blame third phase for asking questions. So if you're upset with third phase, you're crazy.
I have had dreams and visionary experiences with beings just like this my whole life. I had written about it long before Corey came along. Many other people have had similar types of experiences. I don't believe this is fake. These people do seem to exist. They are very human-like. Many of them could pass for people on Earth. You wouldn't know.
You don't believe?
Notice any difference? And yet they are very different. They are not the same at all. They have amazing capabilities, amazing technology, and amazing spiritual development. These people are telepathic. They read minds. They have the ability to levitate themselves. Corey actually did go to their cities at one point and saw some of these people levitating.
We've got a guy in the chat room who levitates all the time.
They have very advanced
it's a magic trick.
Technology, and they represent the next level of human evolution, which apparently we're going to go through as well.
No, we're not.
We're going to become like these beings, where we can move things with our mind.
No, we're
where
not.
We can hear.
No, we're not. You can't move shit with your mind. It's not proven. It's not proven. If anybody can move stuff with their mind, email me at goofonradio@gmail.com, please. I would love to have you on the show in person. We'll figure it out. I don't care if it's a year from now. There is no way anybody can move something with their mind. I just don't believe it. Rich, but your mind is energy. It's very, very, very weak energy. Yeah, right. I know. It's not what you think. You can't move shit with your mind. It just can't happen. Just can't.
Hear each other's thoughts, where we have access to
and
the different.
And you can't read anybody's thoughts. Again, you can't. If that was the case, it just can't happen. Nobody's ever proved. If you can read somebody's thoughts, if I could read your thoughts, and you were here in front of me, it would scare the shit out of you. That's why it's never done, even with magic. You know, it's hard to prove. It's hard. It's impossible to do. You can't read minds. You can't move stuff. We're not ever going to get to that point in evolution. That's not what humans are. And let me tell you something. If you look at all the past civilizations, why are they past civilizations? Where did they go? If they were so technologically advanced, how did they destroy themselves or disappear? Why aren't they still here, running the world? Why aren't we still building pyramids? Why? Why did that stop if it was such an incredible technological time? We're just not there. Here, humans, no go. Aliens? Maybe. I don't know. If aliens have the ability to read minds, that's a possibility. But a human, maybe if you're a hybrid human, I don't even know about that. I'm talking from this point of evolution to the next 1,000 years where we're going to look exactly the same. Our brain is not going to evolve into that type of ascension to where you could read minds and move things. It's just not going to happen. It can't.
Lifetimes that we've led
for humans, maybe
space,
aliens.
We can see beyond one incarnation. We have the ability to look beyond the veil of living and dying. to understand this life and the afterlife, see how the two work together, and be able to help facilitate people as they transition from one realm to the other in what we would typically call physical death. It's not really death. You do live forever. Your soul will always exist. And in that sense, nothing's really dangerous, and you will always go on with your identity, with your consciousness. You're never going to be lost. You're never going to fade into...
No. Then why don't I have memories from my previous experiences as whatever it was I wanted to be? Why don't I have previous knowledge from a previous life, if that's true? Why? You do, Rich. You got to unlock it, man.
Some blackness. We don't need to be afraid of death. So what's happening is that these inner earth beings, the Anshar, the fourth dimensional angelic types, are fighting against these demonic, negative, evil reptilians. They are nasty. They are more evil than we could ever even imagine. And this battle's been going on for hundreds of thousands of years. It didn't start on Earth. It got brought to us. It's been imported, let's say. And so, as I said earlier in the interview, this is a proxy war. It doesn't just happen here between these beings. It happens between us. The beings are fighting each other based on the choices that we make. The more that we act in a loving, positive, compassionate way, the more that those inner earth beings can fight on our behalf and can win. They have the ability to totally defeat the reptilians. The war only is being fought because of us. And we need to fight for disclosure. Bringing the truth out to the public, getting this information out, will be what defeats this archetypal devil that lives in hell, below the surface of the ground, in these underground bases, some of which, if you went there, are very nasty. And in fact, the reptilians like things hotter than we do. So these, in some cases, are very hot cities with a high temperature. And I know some people are laughing, and that's okay. If you need to laugh in order to hear the truth, that's okay.
Wait, what did he say?
What is going to happen is the archetypal devil that lives in hell, below the surface of the ground, in these underground bases, some of which, if you went there, are very nasty. And in fact, the reptilians like things hotter than we do. So these, in some cases, are very hot cities with a high temperature. And I know some people are laughing, and that's okay. If you need to laugh in order to hear the truth, that's okay. But what is going to happen is there will be a point at which you're not going to be laughing, in which this is all going to become very serious, disclosed on an official level, no longer subject to this
But he told us that we had nothing to worry about. We don't have to worry.
Type of laughter. And this war has been going on for a long time. We are involved in the center of it. We are caught in the middle of it. The choices that each of us make on our own free will basis determine the outcome of the collective. Corey Goode is not a god. Corey Goode is not a savior. I've never looked at him that way. I've seen plenty of flaws in him that probably most people never would, and he has seen plenty of flaws in me. I'm a real guy too. I put my pants on one leg at a time. I make dumb mistakes. I use rude language sometimes. I've done it on stage plenty of times. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. I'm just a researcher who's had some very interesting pieces of the puzzle put in front of me, and I've taken those pieces and I've run with them, and I've done the homework, and I've done whatever it is, 625 episodes of television now, a lot of stuff. So the other part of the question is regarding Corey Goode's visit to the Antarctic, and that's another really, really complicated subject. Antarctica is a lot more interesting than we have given it credit for. If you look at the Piri-Reis map, where you see the coastline of South America, and then it's joined by a land bridge to what appears to be Antarctica, that's very interesting. And what's even more interesting is the Orontes-Phineas map, which very clearly shows Antarctica. Except it shows Antarctica with a lot less ice. And in International Geophysical Year 1954, we did the first sonar surveys of the land beneath the surface of Antarctica. You'll notice in the Orontes Phineas map, there's a little chunk over here, and then there's a bigger piece of Antarctica. That's exactly what's really down there that we now know from using sonar, which we didn't know till 1954, and yet this is an ancient map copied over from scrolls that are hidden away in the Vatican Library after they stole them from the Library of Alexandria, pretended to burn the whole thing down, but actually brought all the best stuff to the Vatican. So Antarctica was not always covered by ice. The Earth did shift on its physical axis, apparently because of a nuclear war from extraterrestrial civilizations that had colonized the Earth. And there were two different major types that were here. There was the people with the elongated skulls, which we still find those skeletons all over the planet, and we were able to get this message out. People are ready for the truth. They're hearing what we have to say. No level of government, social media suppression is going to hold us down. The truth is breaking out. So please support channels like Third Phase of the Moon, and please go and see Above Majestic. I want to thank you.
Thank you very much, Third Phase of Moon. I now have an announcement. Hi, guys. I know a lot of you think you know me, but I don't think you really do. So I'm gonna whistleblow myself. Huh? I am not who you think I am. I wear this mask as Alien Zitch, but my real name, well, this is Alien Zitch. My name isn't Rich Giordano. I, too, have been in the secret space program for over 30 years. My name is Mike Simons. That is my real name. I will show you my face when we're done, only briefly. But I have worked with Corey Goode, not David Wilcock, but Corey Goode, Asagio. I have met Elle. For those of you, we call her the Star Child. She was given special access about 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know all the details. But we have always been here. We have always watched. We have always been at war. This war that Wilcock is speaking of is real. It has come from the Palladian star system, and we have been fighting here for over 3,000 years. People have seen us fighting in the skies. We keep off the planet, behind the moon, out of sight. We do our fighting kind of like in a little ring. Yeah, it's like a space ring, you want to call it, like a boxing ring, but we use spaceships out there. It's pretty good. Yeah, really nice. And we build the ships. It didn't really take that long. But for 3,000 years, we've been fighting and protecting Earth. Now, a lot of you don't want to believe that there's technology where you can go to Mars and back and Mars and back. It's true. It's true. I can't prove it. We're not allowed to. But we are allowed to speak up. Because nobody believes anyway. But when the truth comes out, and me, Mike Simons, tells you that I worked with the government and still do, playing off that I'm Rich Giordano, pod show host, who knows absolutely nothing about anything. I mean, the guy could barely hold a camera still. I just want you to know that we're here. The secret space program that they are speaking of is real. It'll be in my first book that'll be coming out at the end of the year. I will be in a motion picture in about 2 years, Close Encounters, The Return. So you'll know it's me, and I'll reveal who I am. Now, what you gonna do? Sorry, guys. This is what I look like. I know it's weird. I know. Hope you guys have a nice night. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.